All right, so this week is Pax Dei's birthday, and with it, we got a really nice update showing and teasing horses, y'all. We have the first screenshots of horses among many other things that were teased today. There's also a guild feature that is going to be happening in the community coming up, and I am very excited to be going into all of the information that was teased today for what's to come in verse 3 and beyond. So we're going to go ahead and get to it. But before that, hello and welcome all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Dei and Pax Dei related content out there. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another episode of the Pax Friday Review, the show where we talk about all the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped in Pax Dei over the last week. Like I said, this week we have Pax Dei's second birthday to celebrate. It is the official date. I believe it was actually literally 2 years ago as of the date of recording, at the very end of February, that we had the first announcement video come out for Pax Dei. It's been 2 years. We've gone through several different alphas, a beta, now we're in early access, and we've got a teaser for what's to come in the next couple of months. We got confirmation that the game is going to be releasing in 2025. What that means for all of us, including our pocketbooks, because there will most likely be some form of recurring subscription or some kind of monetization options there. They talk about that even in the updated post for today. We're going to get to all of that. So I'm going to see you over on Play Pax Dei's website. Please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe so you can get notified whenever we come out with new content, and share with any of your friends who want to stay updated with all things related to Pax Dei. I'll see you over at playpaxdei.com. All right, so here we are, starting with an oldie but a goodie with the concept art of the three riders on horses. I think there was a fourth one over here too, but in the Enchanted Woods, possibly. And these horses are a nice little allusion to what we'll be seeing later in this update. But 2 years, it's been 2 years since Pax Dei was announced. It was announced at the very end of February in 2023. We are now in 2025, and we have some answers to our pressing questions. This particular article covers a lot of different varying things. We're going to try and do our best to summarize all of the interesting ones, but we'll cover pretty much everything. And first and foremost, let's address the giant horse in the room. It looks like we are going to be getting mounts. The community has talked a lot about getting mounts in the past to help with fast travel. Pax Dei is a really large game. It looks like it's coming sooner rather than later, though the devs do say that while all of the animations and the rigs are done, they are still working really hard to make sure that they move and behave naturally and do so in the environment correctly, like with zone transitions and all of that. It's pretty complex. The player characters on top of these horses, and they need to all work out. One little bit of commentary that I have, I just feel like this horse is a little too small for the rider. Maybe it's just the armor, but I don't know. I feel like the horse to rider ratio here might be slightly off. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but that's just my take. I do like the fact that we are going to be getting horses, and I think it's going to be really important as the game continues to progress to allow players to have different types of animals and be able to use them as both utility as well as for travel. And yeah, I think it's also exciting because if this horse is in game and being ridden, then that might mean animal husbandry is coming a lot closer to being realized in game. But either way, continuing with some of the updates for gameplay mechanics, they also mention that miracles are going to be getting new sets of additions, and the first set that is going to be coming in a future content update is going to be the fast travel or teleportation miracles. The miracle of teleportation has been mentioned by the devs a couple of times, even on this channel. And they specifically said that they don't have an estimated time of arrival, but it is something that they are working on and they know about. They talk about the die system, and there's a couple of things keeping the die system back from being released right now. They want to ensure that crafting and the economy have all been fully fleshed out and are in good places. So I think that means that we might be getting some updates to how crafting works. Maybe it's potentially tied to how utilizing different materials in a crafting recipe can result in a change in texture. We've seen this before with different types of cloth, all the way from silk down to coarse wool or something like that, and how it can visually affect how a piece or an article of clothing looks. But they also have several different colors and embroidery patterns that they've worked on, and they're going to continue to work on it, but they're not going to move forward until these other systems are taken care of. When they were asked about different stack sizes, they said that they are making some adjustments. I do know at one point there was this idea of having types of bags in game, and potentially if you have a bag equipped for like gathering, you might be able to hold higher stacks of foraged materials as opposed to other types of materials like rocks or wood or something like that. That would be really, really cool, but they don't have any specific updates to share just yet. But that's it for gameplay mechanics. Now, talking about different content and features. When asked if they're going to add any new provinces, they said not right now, or at least not in the near future, but it is something that's in the plans for later. They have this massive world that they're trying to build out. When Pax Dei originally comes out, they plan to only have everything or some of the things that are within the region of Gallia, but there's also Gothia, Anatolia, and Iberia, but that's only the 4 major regions, and then there's smaller regions like Helios or Atlantis that also have been spoken about by the devs in game. They aren't going to add that until after the game releases, and obviously they have other things that they want to add before they just keep adding more and more spaces for players to go to. If they add too many spaces and there's not that many players, then it's just going to seem like this massive ghost world where no one actually exists. Then they also mentioned something pretty interesting about lore content, which is kind of ironic because our channel really started by focusing on the lore of Pax Dei 2 years ago because there wasn't many gameplay things to talk about. And just this week, we came out with the first episode of our Pax Dei lore series that gives a breakdown of all the different eras that are in game. But they mentioned that they're developing a system to bring more lore and mysteries into the world of Pax Dei rather than outside of it, shared on like dev blogs and stuff like that. I do believe that this is a reference to the book system or the literature system or whatever it might be in game. They had an extensive section of dev commentary when the game first came out about libraries and how they want libraries to be a thing in game, and that influential, affluential people in game are going to have these extensive libraries, and it'll be a true symbol of power like it was in actual history when people owned books. Knowledge is king. And that's really exciting that they're talking about that. So hopefully we can see more of the lore in game, and we can do more in-game lore videos as well. When will fishing and farming be added? Another question that they answered. And I know that farming, or at least personal farming is what it was mentioned, was something that the devs had on the roadmap at one point. It sounds like they haven't really had much development on that, but they do plan to have both fishing and farming available at some point in the game's development. When asked about in-game events, they just came out and said they want us to run events, and that's what we've been doing. In fact, tomorrow, March 1st, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Golden Company is going to be hosting, along with several other clans throughout all of the Nyx RP server, a PvP dueling tournament. We have 1v1s and 3v3s set aside, multiple teams, hundreds of thousands of gold, hundreds of tattered sigils, and crimson runic leashes are on the table for our contestants. We're going to be recording, maybe even streaming, depending, and it is going to be a really fun time. But there's been other events that you've seen on this channel, as well as many others, where clans organize races, archery contests, treasure hunts, and more. In fact, all of those things have been things that we've hosted in the Golden City even, but they want to just give us, the players, the tools to build these events and things, not necessarily try and build them themselves. So we're not going to be seeing a Christmas event happen in Pax Dei, but they expect Christmas events to happen as run by the players that exist in game. When asked about other things like forest ambience, they said that while trees take a while to grow, they do plan on re-adding them or iterating on them. I do still think that we're going to have a really big Whispering Woods, Enchanted Woods kind of update. They've teased a lot of stuff with regards to trees, shown areas that look like potential dungeon entrances as well underneath these massive trees. And I do think that there's going to be a major content update at some point in the future where we get an expansion of the types of content that we can get. So we're not just going into Zebian dungeons, but now also potentially Fae style dungeons as well. Then moving down to the other sections talked about with building and housing. We have been waiting for a while to get Limestone, and it seems like Limestone will be coming in the next major content update. So that would be verse 3, not part 3 of verse 2, unfortunately. But with part 3 of verse 2, we will be getting roundish tile sets for the current existing tile sets, but not the Limestone or new build tile sets that will be coming in the next major update. They are going to be improving things like permissions, fixing things like plot holes when you have a bunch of plots put together. That's going to be a major godsend. There is a way, if you finesse it the right way, to not have those plot holes in the middle, but it sounds like they're just going to make it a little bit more simplified for players who are just looking to collaborate, and then you have these giant holes in the middle of your city. Speaking from experience. And then they are also actively working on fixing trees growing through foundations. They just haven't solved that problem yet. It is a little bit more complicated than just turning the tree off when there's a build piece on top of them. It's probably with how they generate the trees in general. They also talked about recycling and how they're going to be working on it, or they are working on it. They just don't have it necessarily slated for the next major content update. It might be in the next 2 or over the next 2, who knows, but then give a very specific time. When asked about making it very easy for players to pick everything up that they have on their plot and move it at once, that they're open to exploring that idea. However, they do also have to be careful with that, because players could theoretically just embed everything that they load an entire plot up, suck it up like a vacuum into this L file, and then move extremely large distances without having any of those goods potentially threatened from being stolen, like in PvP zones or something like that. So they are probably kind of cognizant of that. And then when asked about giving us the ability to move items that have already been placed, like furniture or storage boxes that might already be full, and move them around rather than having to empty them, they said that it isn't something that's in the plans, but they're open to comments, feedbacks, and ideas. So feel free to drop a comment down below if that's something that sounds interesting and appealing to you. They definitely read the comments of our videos as well. Then continuing further into crafting and the economy, when asked if they're going to add like event specific types of food like the Yule log around Christmas time, they said that they definitely want to include more recipes, though it just takes a lot of time because they have to balance them and then check on ingredients, make the icons, make the models, and that just takes time. Apple trees, plum trees, they are coming back. Don't worry, y'all. They will be making a return. And when asked if we can have the ability to craft items that are based off of resources that are in nearby storage boxes, they said that it's not something in the plans at the moment. I think they like having players need to organize and be logistical rather than just being able to vacuum suck everything up from all of their boxes that might exist nearby. I'm personally in that camp as well, but I know it is a major quality of life feature that most survival games that are coming out nowadays do have. Then they talk about other things like game progress, development timelines, technical performance, and all of that. They did cover things about DLSS and FSR3. It's something that isn't a major priority for them right now, but it is something that they're looking to enable or fix in the future so that players can recognize that. They are getting ready to switch over to UE 5.4, and then after that, they're going to begin work on 5.5, and that's just going to improve the graphical fidelity. They mentioned that they do plan on releasing Pax Dei in 2025. Wow. There's a lot of things that do still have to happen in terms of content for Pax Day. I don't think it has necessarily all of the content that would keep players around for extended periods. The population is understandably really low right now, and how many players are going to return is neither here nor there. I don't think that's a concern just yet, but when the game is released, there's going to no longer be wipes. There's going to be nothing in that regard other than what is there is there. So there needs to be a lot of content and progression and other forms of interaction and social systems that need to exist in the game to keep players logging in, rather than, you know, them surviving for 6 months and then not having anything else to do after that. There are seemingly no planned wipes for the rest of early access since it is coming out in 2025. That means we have only 9 months remaining really before Pax Day is fully released. That is very interesting. And I know that they have mentioned that they have experienced delays, but they are planning to release in that time frame. It would be really weird if they had any kind of wipe. They'd have to be wiping relatively soon, I feel like, so that players have a chance to recover and keep playing. But who knows? They can do whatever they want. If they need to wipe, they will wipe. I just don't think that the verbiage here doesn't seem like they're planning on doing it. Because the game is going to be releasing, that means that they will start charging for early access, or not for early access, but for monthly access. They have mentioned in the past that they're looking into different types of monetization, but most likely subscription based, and then have some kind of premium currency like Eve had Plex. So Pax Day might have something similar where you'll be able to buy cosmetic items and different things like that, not pay to win, but maybe you'll also be able to exchange that for in-game time. Either way, they are finalizing the aspects of monetization, and I'm sure we'll have many, many, many videos to talk about that subject when they do. And then they're also adding Spanish and Polish to the localized languages, and they are working on having more languages that they can localize. Fortunately, Pax Day doesn't have quests or dialogue in game mostly, so I feel like is really easy for them to localize to multiple languages, and I think they plan to in the future. But that's pretty much a summary of everything that has gone on in Pax Day. We're at year 2, y'all. We're looking into year 3 now. The game is coming out and fully releasing in 2025. That means there's a lot of stuff that is coming. Let me know about how you feel about all of these different answers that they gave in today's post. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the video. And if you did, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with any of your friends who might be interested in learning more about Pax Day. I'm really excited for what's to come. I think it was great that we got this update. But until next time, I'm Altari, the Professional Gamer.